my research here at STIAS is within history, but I'm trying to find different ways of actually doing historical work, particularly historical writing. And I'm using as a starting point two photographic archives. And these are archives that emerged specifically in East London, in the Eastern Cape, in the 1960s. And the first photographer I'm looking at, his name is Morolong, and he worked as a studio photographer. And a lot of his customers were people from the Duncan Village and Danzane townships in East London. And so these were men and women who actually went to him to, pay for portraits, etc. The second person that I'm looking at did very different work. His name is Denfield, and he was interested in historical material dating back to the Victorian period in East London. And he collected a number of old photographs in the 1960s about East London. So, and my thesis was focused on his work, okay? And I didn't really pay that much attention to Morolong. But a few years ago, I became interested in the fact that in the city you had a moment when you had these two men who had different backgrounds, who were both interested in photography in different ways. And on the surface, their photos are different. The material was produced at different times, but was circulated in the same time. So, for example, at some stage, the Daily Dispatch actually would publish these old photos Denfield had found, and also would publish photos that Morolong's customers had actually bought. So I thought it was interesting then that you have in this moment in the city two sets of collections that depict the people in the city quite differently. So I asked myself, if we actually think about these photos at the same time, might they actually challenge how we write about specifically East London's history, but also the kinds of ways in which we often frame the past and we think about the past, the kinds of stereotypes, if you like, or fixed vocabularies or frameworks that we have about the past. So in thinking about these two collections alongside one another, I'm actually trying to find a vocabulary for thinking about the past differently. And my focus, my starting point is the fact that both collections are so oriented around the coastline and the beach. And because the beach is such a place of fluidity and change, it's such a transient space, for me it's a very useful metaphor to think about, blurring boundaries, not only in terms of how we think about history, but also in terms of even our own writing, blurring the boundaries of disciplines and also the boundaries of historical writing. So really the bigger project is invested in how we write as historians, not just simply what we say, but how we say, and how that form actually mediates our understanding of the past.